By loving people, I'm there for them in my restaurant, and see them happy makes me happy. That's why it's called hospitality for me, first of all, because I'm there to welcome people in, and then cook some good food and see that they, when they finish, they happy and they say thank you. I love that.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Porchetta is a thing of beauty. The wonderfully soft seasoned meat, the crisp crackling, it's one of the best ways to celebrate the pig, and few, if any, do it better than Orazio D'Elia. Orazio, how are you?
Good, how are you, Huck?
I'm good. It's good to catch up with you. A lot's happened in the last couple of years. How's things for you?
Things are good. Been busy for the last few years, After we had COVID, when everything was stopped, and then it feels like everything started back on track. And I reopened a restaurant last year, which has got the name of Porchetta on it. So been quite busy with that.
Well, tell us a little bit about the restaurant. I think last time we caught up on our sibling podcast, Deep in the Weeds, I think you talked about you were sort of planning for it, but where is it and what are you doing?
Yeah, so basically I had, I wanted to do something else, and the opportunity to pick up the old Orazio, which then was Cicciabella, was was almost there, and I'm talking to obviously Morris, and I got her back, and we opened the door last year. We reopened the door last year again as Orazio Pizza and Porchetta, and it's been a good ride since then.
You're renowned for your porchetta. Tell us a little bit about it and how you make it.
So we obviously we get in the whole pigs from local farmers, and we get them in and we butcher all ourselves. We debone them, take all the bones out, and then we stuff them with pork neck to add more meat to it, and salt, pepper, fennel seeds, rosemary, sage, and thyme. All chopped finely, all spread all over, lots of pepper, and then we with a big needle we stitch it. We stitch it up, make a long big sausage, and then we tie it up and do like the tube, like a tube. It looks like a tube. Then we the next day put it on the spit and we cook it for, minimum to 6 to 8 hours, depending on the size of the pig.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit of a commitment, but you know what? It's good. It's when people eat it and they're happy and they have it makes it all go away. The work.
What sort of challenges do you have when you're cooking it to get it right, like in regards to temperature and the crackling and the meat?
Well, there's obviously I've got to teach my boys, how to do it, because sometimes pigs are, funny enough, they're like humans. Some of the fat, some they got big legs, some they got big shoulders. Yeah, it's funny because we sometimes muck around. I'm like, mate, this one's got big legs, so make sure when it's the front it's sort of cooked, put the flame down and just keep it just the back. And we got a thermometer, so we check every 20 minutes, half an hour, to make sure also we don't burn it. Because most of the time, some pigs have a quite big content of fat, and when it starts to drip down, it can catch on fire on the rotisserie. So it's happened a few times. So we just be careful, do a little assessment before we put it on the grill.
Well, you've sort of renowned for your porchetta. Where did it start for you? Why did you get interested in porchetta and have that as part of what you do?
Well, it feels like that I've been. Pigs have always been part of my life. Obviously, coming from an Italian family, that the tradition was that every year in February, back in Italy, so in winter, the family would kill the pig to make the salami, the sausage, and stuff. So I felt like every year we were doing that. And then when I started my career, I remember working in this five-star hotel in Milano, Marittima. And there was this guy that said to me, he goes, I really want you with me in the garde-manger, so where we processing meat and fish, then we give it to the hot section of the mains and they cook it. And he showed me how to do the porchetta. And I was really like, oh my God, I never thought you could have done this. And so I had always kept this in, it's like a kept secret. And then, when we opened the first Orazio Pizza and Porchetta with Morris back in 2014, before we opened, we was brainstorming what we doing, and so we thought, there's no wood Farab pizza place in Bondi. I said, let's do that. And Morris challenged me, he goes like, but we need to put something with it. We can just do pizza. Everyone does pizza. So, we started talking, and all of us, I said, what about porchetta? And Morris goes, pizza and porchetta. Fuck, that's genius. So, and that's what, and then we went ahead and do it. And, for 4 years, the old Orazio was, a place where people loved. And then, things happened. I moved on, I did other stuff. And then coming back and reopened the Red Door as a pizza and porchetta, even Google was confused because they said permanently closed. So I had to go all the process now to get, all the hashtags, all the maps, everything in place to people could come to the restaurant again. Yeah, it was a bit funny the first month. It was a bit hard, but now I think everything works. So we back there. People are happy that we open again, and the Darazio is a place for everybody. From kids that they come from school at 5 o'clock to anybody that wants to come for a late drink at 9:30 at night. So it's a place literally that catered for everybody.
Mm. Bondi has changed so much in the last decade with its food offering, and you've been a part of that in sort of different periods. How different is it now, being sort of going back into the sort of Bondi food scene with so many different offerings there?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit, you know, it's a bit tough. Obviously, you gotta, we always careful about, the things that we put on the menu, the way we price it. Obviously, there's a lot of competition now, so we make sure that we do our own style, important, and then we make sure we price in the right way so people can come to us 3 times a week and don't break the bank, even if it's really hard at this day at the moment because with all the rising prices of everything, it's hard. But man, you gotta push it through and be there. It's commitment.
You mentioned breaking down a whole pig, Italian tradition with family growing up. Take us back to sort of Italy. Where did you grow up, and tell us a bit about the food and the role it played in your family?
Yeah, so I grew up obviously in Napoli, obviously outside the Naples, and I was lucky enough to have my both grandmas from two different parts of the Campania region, but still in the province of Napoli. And the one that was living on top of the hill, that's the family that was more exposed to killing the pigs and do all of this stuff. And since early age was um, it was more like in a farm, living in a farm for me, and that's where I got all this sort of knowledge about you know pigs, where they grow, what they get fed, and to kill them, I'll make salami and everything. And the other side of the family of mom was more towards Napoli, so there was different sort of type of cooking, more seafood than meat.
When did you first start getting interested in food and potentially a career as a chef?
It was it's a bit of funny one, this one for you, because I obviously, you probably heard many times people say, growing up in Italy, you're always exposed to food, which is right. You wake up in the morning and the first question they ask is, what do you want to eat? But for me, it was different because I always had this desire to travel the world, to speak another language. So when I finished the middle school and I was 13, 14 years old, with this friend of mine, we said, oh, we want to travel the world, what we should do. And he goes, oh, we should go to, the hospitality school, because then we can travel the world and then we can work in every city where we go, and we can make money, we can travel, we can meet girls, we can party, we can do a lot of stuff. And I said to myself, okay, let's do that. And so we went to the hospitality school. Originally, we wanted to choose, there was a three subject you could choose. One was reception, one was the dining room at the front of house, and one was kitchen. And all the other two were already full, so we had to choose the kitchen. And so we took the kitchen course, and we did the chef school for 5 years, and that's how we got into it. And then from there, every summer when we were off school, we were going to work in local restaurant or hotels, and that's how it started. And then obviously for the first 5 years while I was at school, it was always it was never something that was, a professional thing. It was more like, yeah, make a bit of money, and then, go back to school. But then when school finished, that's when the game started for me, that I started traveling and do a little bit more professional way in a different part of Italy, five-star hotel, restaurant, stage in a Michelin's place where you didn't get paid, and they just feed you a meal, and you don't get paid, and you work about 80, 90 hours a week, just to learn without getting paid. That's how it started.
What was some of the sort of really key venues and people that sort of influenced you as you started to build your career in the hospitality sector?
Back in Italy at that time, I remember while I was going to school, there was this name of a chef was Gualtiero Marchesi, which I think he was like the godfather of the Italian cuisine back in Italy. And I got really into obviously the cooking, and this that I bought my first encyclopedia called La Cucina Italiana by Gualtiero Marchesi back then. And so I was looking up to him and, learning the basics, because someone said to me at the time, said, if you can't speak Italian, how can you go and learn English? So they told me, you need to learn your Italian cuisine first. And then you can move into the world and then learn other things, and then maybe bring a part of your country, of your Italy, somewhere in the world where you're going. And so I sort of listened to that. And I'm very grateful today that I've got my own place, and at Orazio we do a cucina italiana. It's as long as it can sound simple, but it's the real thing. I love what everyone's doing out there, but if we decide to make a pasta with spaghetti carbonara or something else, we make it in the proper way, in the Italian way, you know. And I'm proud to sort of say, look, I cook Italian food in Sydney.
Well, I'm a bit of a stickler for carbonara the right way as well.
I love it. I love
tell
it.
us how you make it.
Well, I obviously have. There's a few different way that you can make it. I during COVID I started to do a few recipe on my social Instagram and stuff, and putting recipe out there for people, to cook. Carbonara is a simple dish, but there's a few steps that you need to put in mind, that you got to respect them. Otherwise, you make a scrambled egg. So first of all, the carbonara is only done with obviously egg yolk. Every two egg yolks, you need a bit of at least 50 grams of pecorino, or some people can use a little bit of parmigiano. It depends if they don't like it too too strong. Make sure your guanciale is crispy, and so you can get all the fat out. Then you mix it with the eggs mixture and pecorino, but you have to make sure that the guanciale fat is not too hot. Otherwise, you're going to be cooking the eggs already. And then when the pasta is cooked, strain the pasta, keep some of the water on the side. Off the stove, start adding the egg mixture slowly to that, so it doesn't coagulate. It doesn't cook like a scramble. So, and you want it to get creamy and creamy and creamy, and then serve it with, some crispy guanciale on top, and buon appetito.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. You're making me hungry.
Man, it's a simple dish. It's my favorite dish. But if I have to be honest with you, if someone say to me, "What's your death row meal?" It would be prosciutto crudo and mozzarella.
Wow.
So talking about pig again, I think since I was a little boy, then I got given solid food. I think a prosciutto has been probably the thing that I've ate the most all my life.
What makes great prosciutto, and what do you love about it?
I don't know. It's just the salt, the buttery. I don't know. They use slice, and you can have with fresh bread until I can have it until I'm literally full. I can't fit any more food in my body, and it's like an addiction. I walk into the kitchen. Sometimes I say, "Okay, I'm going on a diet now," and then I walk into the kitchen. The guy's slicing prosciutto. I'm just going there. I can't resist. I need to grab a slice. It's yeah. Funny enough, it's still part of. It's still pig.
How did you end up in Australia?
I ended up in Australia because connecting to the thing that I told you before about, traveling the world and meeting new people and language. With a friend of mine, we were talking about, exploring more of the world, and he met a guy that came to Italy to find a pizza chef, which was, Lucio from Lucio Pizzeria, and so brought him back to Australia to open his first pizzeria. And then he told me, and so I came here, and then with the working holiday visa for a year. That was back in 2004. So it's almost been 18 years, 19 years now, and that's how I got here. And I fell in love with the country, with the lifestyle and everything. And today I'm here with a family. I've got three boys, married, restaurants, and other stuff. And I'll never look back.
What did you think of Australia when you first got here? Was it? Did you have ideas of what it might be? Was it similar?
I picture in my head those big roads, like giant roads, and kangaroo jumping on the side. Honestly, um, and then then I remember going to the embassy in Rome to do my visa, and because back then you couldn't do it online, so I had to go to the embassy in Rome, the Australian embassy, and I remember open at 8 o'clock. I was there at 6 a.m. I was 2 hours before I was there because I wanted to be the first. I wanted to get my passport, my visa. And so while I'm sitting out in my car outside the embassy, I see these two beautiful, taller women, like with the red hair. I'm like, wow, this is the Australian women look like. So I go my friend Lucio. I say, Lou, wow, but they all have red hair in Australia. And he goes, no, no, no. I say, I just saw two tall ladies, beautiful with the red hair. I say, oh, I like that. And he goes, no, 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 there's a bit of mix here. There's everything. He says, stop asking me all these questions. I'll see you when you get here. I say, okay, don't worry. I'll see you soon. And then when I came, I felt like, wow, my first day on Bondi Beach was something that I'll never forget. I was just amazed by looking around all these different, different, style of people, and was amazed. The water was beautiful. Everything was amazing. The surf, everything, and so I sort of fell in love.
Tell us a bit about your career in Australia leading up to sort of opening the restaurant for the first time with Morris Tazzini. Where did you work and what sort of influences were on you?
Well, my first job in Sydney as head chef was in this restaurant in North Sydney called L'Incontro. I had been in Australia for already 6, 7 months, 8 months. So a friend of mine was working in this restaurant and he was leaving and told me if I could replace him. So I went there and was doing the pasta section, and the owner, which is actually from Capri, saw me and asked me, oh, would you like to become the head chef, blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't even speak English, mate. How can I talk to these guys? They were Aussie guys, an Indian guy. I'm like, okay, look, if they listen to me, because I was scared they would not listen to me. So I started. It was hard in the beginning, but let me tell you, that Indian guy that was in the kitchen in 2005, today still works with me at the Orazio. And he's one of my best friends. And I share with him a lots of story. He makes curry every week for staff for meal because it's amazing. Love to try different food. It's yeah, but it was good. It was funny because some stuff that I wanted to cook back then was not received well from people. There was some stuff like octopus that people didn't really like. 18 years ago. Today, it's one of the best food to serve in a restaurant. There was certain things that we would cook in Italy, do it here, and no one will have it. I remember making my ex girlfriend a simple cacio e pepe pasta. She looked at me. She goes, "That's too plain." And today the cacio e pepe is number one dish in the world. It's going to fashion again. But yeah, I saw that change a lot. But I changed a little bit myself with that. So I was happy with the road that I took until I went to work at Icebergs with Morris, which is for me has been one of my greatest mentors. And he helped me. He told me a lot. And today, a lot of things that I know, it's gotta say, I learned from him.
Well, the original incarnation of the restaurant was with Morris, but now you have it on your own many years later. Tell us a bit about how different it is compared to the first iteration.
Well, it's been still to these days. I got a lot of deja vu, to be honest. While I'm there, I'm just thinking like something that probably would happen 10 years ago, but it probably would happen yesterday because, it was a funny one, especially in the beginning, to go back into the site and the name is the same. With Morris was the Orazio more relaxed, I would say, back in the days. And, it was more like easy, still the same type of food, I guess I was cooking. It was, there was not many restaurant around as well. That was great. Today, the Darazio today, he's got a little bit, I've invested a little bit more money to buy different, chairs or tables, and we got a few extra wine on the wine list. We made it a little bit more, little different, just because of the competition being around, and you wanted to make sure that you're there for people, um, and you can be different from all the other places in your own way.
How does pork weave its way through the menu? Tell us a little bit about some of the dishes that you have where pork sort of stars.
Well, the porchetta, as you know, also a little bit the branding of the place, but also we got a dish which is the focaccia, which is also a dish that we had back in the days and is one of our biggest sell. It's two slice of wood-fired bread. That comes out of the oven and they get filled with slabs of pork, cost lettuce, and a grilled eggplant, with a little chili and some mayo. It's got a little bit of pork jus in it, just to bring up the flavor a bit more, and it's one of the biggest sale. Yeah, we have at the moment another dish on the menu, which is a pork sausage ragu, that it's flavored with saffron, and we serve it with some gnocchetti sardi. So it's a Sardinian dish. They in Sardinia they call it mallureddu alla campidanese, but on the menu we call them as gnocchetti sardi with saffron infused pork sausage ragu. It's one of our biggest sale on that. And obviously, some of the antipasti, truffle mortadella, prosciutto crudo. We're just about to put a new dish on the menu, which is a mortadella skewer, served with some pistachio and some ricotta on the top. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Um, when we do first open, we had a great dish on the menu, which was a mortadella fritta, was layers of mortadella. So it was mortadella fritta, cacio e pepe. So basically, during COVID, I had time to do a bit of research, and I was at home and I was sort of doing a couple of tasting stuff like that, and I came up with these layers of mortadella, and between the layers there was pecorino and pepper. And then, I did the 5 layers of it, and then I crumbled like a cotoletta, like a schnitzel, and then I fried it. And everyone was like, "Wow, this is really good." So, and back then I had my babysitter and my wife had been the guinea pig of all these dishes that I was making, and they all gave me the thumbs up. And then I thought, what, this goes on the menu. Done.
For someone that has and utilizes so much pork on the menu and gets whole pigs in, do you have any connections with farmers that you work with?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I get all my pig from Taluka Park, down in Barrel. I know Frank and his wife for a few years now, and for me, it's important because knowing that he raised the pig that I use, at least I know where they're from. Someone's asked me a question, I know exactly what I'm talking about, and also it's a beautiful to go down there and spend the day with him, understand what's happening, what they're eating, the soil, regeneration for these animals. You know what I mean? All of this, it's really important. I think, farm to plate, it's something that these days is really important. It's like a bit sustainability for fish. So this is for the farmers out there.
Yeah. What's great about the pork that they produce?
I think the way they raise them, they're all free. They're not in cage, so they got a good life, and they get fed good stuff. Apples, sometimes. Other things, grains. They free to do whatever they want. Really, they don't have an hard life. Yeah.
Well, you turned a year old just recently with the venue in its second incarnation. What are you loving about what you do?
Um, what I love about what I do the most is that I love people. And by loving people, I'm there for them in my restaurant. and see them happy makes me happy. That's why it's called hospitality for me, first of all, because I'm there to welcome people in, and then cook some good food and see that when they finish, they happy and they say thank you. I love that. That's just those little things that, at the end of the day, that makes your day.
Well, you're making a lot of people happy, and it's great to see you up and running in Bondi again. Always good to catch up with you, Orazio.
Grazie, Huck.
Please keep in touch, and we'll catch up again soon.
My pleasure, Bello. Thank you.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.